if you're watching this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I couldn't do this last night. So I just got done watching Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup, because on Thursday morning when I was putting on my Halloween costume getting ready for school, I got a contact stuck in my eye and I could not get it out, Long story short, I had to go to the eye doctor this morning. They said it's not in there, but it's very common. But in the process, I irritated the hell out of my eyes. So if you can see it's kind of like red. That's why. Okay. Anyway, just letting you know. And Love and Marriage Huntsville starts up again tonight. I'm excited. All right. So anyway, try not to pay attention to this messed up eye of mine. Anyway, so this is the review of Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup. Without trust, you have nothing. Season 5, episode 45. All right. So Wednesday Addams, Lydia from Beetlejuice, and Daniel. Okay. Because that's who Bianca looks like to me. All right. So they're talking about her having a drinking problem. We don't care. Oh my gosh. We really don't care. He asked if she's codependent on him. She says, how can I be codependent? He's only been out 3 days. And honestly, that was my exact question before I could get it out of my mouth. Now, my other question is, how do y'all have so many problems and he's only been out 3 days? But that's just my question. I don't expect to get an answer because y'all can't answer nothing. So he was like, you always wanted me to be on my iPad in prison. And she's like, that has to do with your past traumas. He was like, yeah, it does. I don't care. Bitch. She was bored, okay, Daniel? She was bored. That's why she always wanted you on the iPad. And also because in her mind, you were in prison. What else did you have to do? All right? But we don't care at the end of the day. They're going through his old prison stuff of pictures and stuff, whatever. Then they get up the next morning talking and chatting like nothing happened. I guess, you know how sex can do that. But it also wears off quickly, as we see. All right, so they want to go for a walk. That seems like a simple activity, doesn't it? Seems like an activity that people can do and enjoy together, and it'd be the end of the story. Oh, but no, see, not for Wednesday Addams. So they want to go for a walk. Both of them need to be looking for a job. That's what I thought. I was like, y'all already wasting time. You need something to do, Bianca, because we know you're going to lose all your money by the time you're 24. 2, Daniel, you need a job. Like a job. Okay, y'all should be looking for those. All right, so he says that he thinks proposing to her is a good idea because it will make her feel better and more secure about the relationship. I don't know what it is with people that think being engaged is a completely separate act that's not connected to the ultimate goal of marriage. Okay, just because you want to be on fuck shit does not mean that definition has changed. Cut it out. Okay, that's a shut up ring you're getting, Lydia from Beetlejuice. Anyway, so he grabbed the ring before they left. She starts complaining as they walk through the park. I was like, oh my gosh. It's one thing to complain about the heat, because I know places like Texas and Arizona have that dry heat. It's different than the kind of humid heat you have in Georgia, which is bad. But it's a different kind of heat. It's almost like you can't breathe kind of heat if you're not used to it. Anyway, but that's not what she was complaining about. He was like, wow, this is tough for me. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, probably because he's been in jail, and to be that free and there's no guards walking around, you're actually able to do it. Sometimes can be overwhelming to people. So she starts complaining about the way he's holding her hand. He was like, just cut me some slack. I was like, y'all have the dumbest fucking argument. I would hate to have to be y'all's producer for this show. I'd be like, give me another assignment. All right, so she was like, I don't understand why this walk is so upsetting. He seems overwhelmed. Maybe because he hasn't been free to walk on his own in years. Dummy. She's in the park crying. Dummy again. And saying she doesn't know what he's mad about. We don't care what he's mad about. Just shut the fuck up. Okay? So, bitch, break up and disappear from us. Both of them were doing too much for me. Just too much. Then 30 paces later, Wednesday Addams finds Daniel. Was he sitting on somebody's back step? I'd come out of my house and beat the shit out of him with a broom. Anyway, if they were sitting behind my house, I'd have a fit. Okay, we don't care. All right, so Kimberly and Joey, another set of dum-dums. All right, so they're having date night. Okay, it looked at like the same place they had their engagement party, except for they were having mozzarella sticks. But whatever. She mentioned that Tatum apologized at the wedding dress shop because they were going shopping or whatever. She said, but the conversation was good. Kimberly tells him that her divorce is not final. This shit is such a mess. Okay, so Joey was like, "Well, you've been legally separated for a year. What else is there to do, right?" Because that's the impression he's been under. Because that's the impression she gave him. Okay, he was like, "You know, you have to file for divorce." I was like, that bitch knew. She was lying this whole time. Hell, she told us that they didn't have a divorce because her husband didn't want to sign the papers. Now I know she told us that with love during lockup, but that it was almost done. So that was part of her whole lie. So I presumed at least there were papers, okay, with your lying ass. Anyway, Joey is acting mad, but he's not mad. He lying. He's actually relieved because he really don't want to get married. He wants a lifeline. He don't want to get married. And he was like, how are we going to buy a house and suppose it ends up 50% his? He had a little point. All right, so why? But my question is, why are y'all looking for a new house to buy? And y'all's finances are all over the place. Why are you having this man around your kids? Your DNA test results aren't in. Kimberly, you want some bullshit. And Joey was right. You do have your ex-husband on the back burner. And why were y'all having an engagement party to celebrate an upcoming marriage and you're not even divorced? That's stupid. You should have spent that money on a goddamn lawyer. All right, but she gaslit him for real. She gaslit him, and I feel like she lied to me, okay, by watching the show. So she gaslit him. He was like, you thought you could get a divorce out of nowhere? And she was like, I thought you thought that because you've been telling everybody it's any day now. Where the fuck would he get an idea like that from? Don't make it seem like he just made that up. Girl, bye. Like, that was fucked up to say. Did y'all catch that one woman at the table behind them pretending to look at her phone while she was taking in all their business? It's going to be all around that town. It ain't but 14 feet long. Anyway, he was like, we both need to quit lying to each other. And, like, all of us are liars at the end of the day. I was like, Joey, that statement reveals a lot about you. I mean, granted, all human beings are liars in some shape, way, or form. But y'all telling big lies. I mean, just big ones. All right. Zaria and Troy. Now, y'all know this is my problematic favorite couple. All right. So she's showing Troy a video of her parents' house. Apparently, like, right after they left, not long after, her parents had a fire at their house. They left the dinner that we saw, and Isaiah, I think her son, I think that's what it's pronounced. Her son spent the night like he usually does, which is not unusual for grandkids to spend a lot of time with their grandparents. Her father called and said, there was a fire, and now they're at a hotel. She was like, I could have lost my son. I could have lost my parents. Yeah, you could have lost your family. Troy said it wasn't as bad as he thought as they pulled up the house. It's not as bad as I was expecting it to be either, but it still was bad. Troy said it wasn't... No. They were saying, like, the fire is serious. And it's concerning because a fire hadn't ever happened to either one of them. And you do hear about fires, and fires are very real. They happen to people's homes. But I think there's something scary about when it really happens to you. I feel very blessed that I haven't experienced a fire. I pray to God I never do. But when it does traumatize people. Yeah. So then Zaria says... in a confessional, Patrice predicted this, and they show her saying bad things are going to happen, this and the other. And so she said, I think she's then going to be right about our relationship. I, first of all, already knew she was about to say something wild by the way that camera zoomed in on Troy's face as he was rolling his eyes with that bullshit coming out of her mouth. Troy was pissed in that confessional. And I'm just sitting up here like, Zaria, shut up. Just shut up. Anything bad can happen to anybody at any point in time. This is stupid, okay? Accidents happen. There is such a thing, okay? And, well, it may not happen today. It can happen. Zaria, then go ahead and break up with him so you don't have to worry about it. You are so dumb. I can't with her. And Troy, Troy is fine. Troy could definitely find somebody else. Anyway, Troy says he feels good that, he said it's terrible that it happened to her family, happened to her son. He said he does feel good that he could be here for Zaria and he's not hearing it through like a prison phone where he can't do anything to help. So Troy and her dad are going to the church to set up because the first event for Project Heal is going to be there. Meanwhile, Zaria calls her mom. Her mom won't talk to her. She thinks it's because she told her she was going to see the psychic. And she said she thinks that her going to see the psychic caused the fire. Zaria, please cut this dumb shit out. Just cut it out. Cut it out. Can't nobody predict your future. Not like that. Psychics are not real. They're hustlers. They've always been hustlers. All right. Anyway, so Zaria, if that's a direct correlation for you, I just don't have anything for you. I don't have anything for you. So why hasn't all of this catastrophic shit been happening over the past year then? If that's the reason why they had a fire. Girl, bye. There are such things as accidents. All right? So her mom emphasizes that a psychic is witchcraft when she finally picks up the phone and talks to her. Troy goes back to the church with her father. Her father is insisting on him giving a sermon. Y'all, this is what frustrates me about them. I actually think they are good, very good parents, very supportive, very good family people. But they need to stop playing with the Lord. There is a difference between giving a sermon and a testimony. Now, Troy has a testimony. Okay? But why is it always like they keep trying to force this on him? Too many people be jumping into the ministry now anyway. All right? So, his father actually had kidney dialysis. And he talked about how his father was the man he looked up to. He didn't have to look outside his home for an example. And that says a lot. That says a lot. And he said he loved his father. And he talked about how he thinks he contributed to his father's death because his father's high stress levels were indicative based on him suffering from seeing him get arrested and going in and out of prison. And that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people's parents experience that. Bless his heart. So that was actually a really good moment, I think, with him sharing that story. So Zaria went home with her son, and the mom came over. Her and her mom talked. Why did her mom look like she was in her Halloween costume? Like as Frankenstein's bride, this person who done talked about witchcraft and everything else. I was just like, I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. Yeah, don't do that no more. So Zaria starts talking about her wedding planning, but meanwhile, she can't pay her rent right now for the house that her mama is coming to sit on the couch in, and she ain't told her mama nothing about it. She was like, well, it's up in the air now. I always wanted this wedding or whatever. She doesn't tell her mom about the rent problem. She's still not telling her mom about that. But she does tell her about the wedding and says, we need to sit down and talk about, how you guys are going to help. The mother was like, we will sit down and talk about it, and yes, we will help. I mean, she has the most loving and supportive parent I've probably seen on any show. She said, so Zaria says, I want my biological father to walk me down the aisle, and I was kind of like, her biological father? Didn't her father just tell us last week he brought her home, gave her her first bath, and spoke over her and all this other stuff? And I was like, huh? And mom was like, that's fine as long as you decide, your father. And she was like, well, I want my dad to marry them. Okay, look, my sister got married. My father married them. My brother walked her down the aisle. But anyway, so didn't he help? I was just so confused. But apparently, at 3 years old, they said at 3. That seems like a strange thing to tell a kid at 3. Her mom told her that she was adopted. She was adopted from a 16-year-old teenage, mother who had her. Honestly, I still feel like Zaria looks just like her mother. Like, she looks like that woman's child. It didn't strike me as like, oh, so strange because she was light-skinned. But I don't know. And I think that's why that colorism stuff be blowing my mind sometimes. Because I'm sitting up here like, I don't know many black families that don't have people who are brothers and sisters, same mother and father, and one's browner, one's lighter, or like it's rare. that you would have a whole family looking like that. And so that to me didn't seem odd. I was like, yeah. And her mother was like, yeah, I have plenty of white people in my family. But I'm just like, it still, she looks like that woman to me. I don't care. So for the past year, she said, and well, but even before that, I was like, well, maybe the reason why she's so angry all the time. Because I was like, she comes from wonderful people. What happened to her? Like, cause she be out there. She comes from a great family, and maybe she feels deep down inside like her real parents just didn't want her, and she's angry about it. She has every right to be. You can't tell somebody how to get over that. But I do think something that's worth noting, and granted, it's easier for me to say because I wasn't adopted, but some people aren't as lucky as you, Zaria. Some people end up in foster care, and we all know a lot of people who end up in foster care end up in trouble with the law, making the wrong decisions, end up with the wrong kind of men, so, many times in the hands of pimps, end up in the strip club at 18 or before then because they're just looking for a way to make money, run away from home. And, once again, I'm not telling her not to feel that way. I just think that's something to remember, that your life didn't turn out that way. So you've been very blessed. So for the past year, she's been talking to her biological father or whatever. He didn't know she existed. I imagine that because they were young and it seemed like this person was scared, the mother. And honestly, she showed a picture. They looked like they could have been boyfriend and girlfriend. They looked, he looked so young, but because he was. So she doesn't want her father to be upset if she calls her biological father. She said, though, that she reached out to her real mom some years ago on, social media. And she was like, I was really kind of taken aback because she didn't want to know me or hear from me. And she said, I gave you up for adoption and it was supposed to be closed. Well, yeah, it was. And the mom said, yeah, we would have welcomed her. We weren't insecure about that. But a closed adoption means you don't have anything else to do with it. They don't have to send you pictures or anything like that. It becomes their kid, their choice, whatever. And I imagine that is incredibly hurtful. That is incredibly hurtful. Because some people just want to know where they come from. It's that, Zaria said it was hard growing up and wondering why she was so light. And honestly, in any black family, you could look like that. And kids teased her for being the lightest in her family, just like you would get teased for being the darker one in the family. And my oldest sister, who looks just like my mother, who had a browner complexion than us, but her and my second older sister looked just alike. I remember people always making comments like that, and that used to piss me the fuck off. Not only did it piss me off, I straight up didn't hang around people who said shit like that. Or asked me questions like, oh, do y'all have the same father? Fuck you. Yes, all 5 of us did. And in a black family, and considering your black ass and your family, you got some fucking nerve. That's rude as hell to ask some shit like that. Or that shit made me mad. But anyway, so I understand. Somewhat. I don't want to act like I can understand her situation completely. All right. But that was a better episode for Zaria and Troy because we got down to some stuff. Melissa and Joey. Y'all, I just want... See, the last time... Let's get more of Teenie and Rob and Zaria and Troy because they know how to carry a fucking show. Anyway, Melissa and Joey are fighting again. We're not surprised and we don't care. Joey is meeting his clients in training. Joey says most of his clients are women, and I was thinking to myself, of course they are. Women are the ones that are made consistently to feel bad about their weight, their shape, and made to feel insecure by the men in their lives, by the men that control media. So that doesn't surprise me. And I can imagine some of them seek a male trainer on purpose for many reasons, and it helps to have a male one, I think, in their mind. Because if he says you're making progress or you look good, it gives them a certain amount of confidence. But Melissa, you were tripping. And let me tell you something, your friend's a fucking hater. She didn't have to bring that to you at your job and bring up, have you seen his videos? So one of her friends shows her a video of them training. She was like, he says it's professional. That doesn't look professional. And her friend is agreeing with her. Melissa, first off, the blonde haired woman who he was training with in that video, had on her office outfit, her dental office secretary outfit, all black. She wasn't even in no fucking workout clothes. She came in from her lunch break. Girl, if you don't stop, just stop. Please stop. I'm begging you to stop. All right. Now, Melissa, just, you doing the most. And Melissa's impossible to please. Like, he's doing this to bring in money to make you happy. And it's like, you can find another job to do this, and if he quits that job before, well, you should hurry up. She's one of those. Joey is 43. I forgot he was that old. He looks 27. Anyway, he set up the engagement. They show all the back footage of Melissa acting dumb as hell for him, dressing up like a cheerleader, going at it with his mother and all this other old foolishness. Melissa shows up to meet Louis at the White House. I honestly thought there was going to be an elevator inside there. I didn't know. Dang, 171 feet. So, she said, look, you don't know how to plan. You should have told me. I should have worn something more comfortable. He was like, no, we're almost there. It had like 201. He was like, she always finds something to bitch about. All right, so he wrote those big letters in the sand with his friend. Now, you got some good friends, Joey. And spent all of his money that could have lasted him for the next 5 years on that ring. She says, yes. I said, bitch, you should have. And I was like, then she had the nerve to say, and for some reason, I didn't believe her when she said this, though. She was like, I actually didn't even know what 2 carats looked like. I just said that because it sounded good. Which means you say anything to him, to hurt him, to talk shit to him, to bring him down. You messed up, Melissa. You got some issues. She said, I want to know what it looks like. And I was thinking to myself, I know you got to be mad that you took her that seriously and bought her that fucking ring. And now all of a sudden she don't care about the women he was training anymore because they brought in money for her. These people. Please bring Kenny and Rob back because this episode was dry as fuck. Karen and Brittany are getting ready for their wedding, their elopement. Brittany is smoking and vaping while she's doing her makeup. I said, something about that just looks so unserious to me. So Coffee was like, y'all are awfully solemn for a day where y'all are supposed to be happy. Yeah, I agree. So Brittany hasn't told him that his plan to marry her may not work. And that the PO said it's not their recommendation that they get married after being rejected for moving, right? Brittany and Kiera, as far as I'm concerned, are the poster children for what it is to be young and fucking dumb. Okay? I just can't with these dumb-ass decisions, poorly thought out. Then they meet up with Reverend Alberto at the park so they can elope. That's the officiant who has a tattoo, a henna tattoo, whatever the hell it was on his hand. So Brittany's having second thoughts. She's worried more about the kind of wedding. She was like, I just feel like I should only have one wedding, you know? Yes, Brittany, I understand that. But my thing is what you should really be worried about is the fucking advice your PO gave you, which was that y'all should not do this if you want to be able to move, you dummy. I think people think about marriage as an idea, as an ideal to achieve. And reality sets in once they're actually in it. And dating is probably as good as it gets. And I mean that in terms of just like, that's where you really see how people are. And once you're dealing with people day to day and that kind of a commitment, it is not something to enter into lightly. It's not. And this episode ends up with her saying, as he's telling him to take a breath, she has something to tell Keurig after he helped her down that damn hill with them fucking heels at the park. This dry episode, they could have at least given us the whole thing. So Brittany, Kira, Teeny and Rob, and Zaria and Troy need to carry the show because everybody else is just a waste of time. Anyway, that's all I had to say about this. I'll see y'all later for Love and Marriage Huntsville.